How many of us don't know what we don't know? We're about to share with you some vital information about the construction world with the Man of Steel. Stay tuned. This is going to be a fun one, everybody. All right, welcome back, everybody. We got a lot more to cover here. We've got a list of 20 questions I've written that are all pertaining to what it is that small business owners do to change our little planet. And it's a big task for any small business owner. Ask me personally. I've gone through it a few times, went back to work for somebody else after we had a big hit with a big contract change. We'll get into details on that, but it worked out, actually. It came around, worked out better than ever, actually. It's all about that persistence, right?
Yep.
Once you get into something, if you give up, you lose.
Yep.
If you keep going, find a way, do it right. Don't ever steal or lie or cheat. That causes you to get further in the hole.
Yep.
Some people, hey, note for everybody, is that a fair one? How many
That
people
is.
you see, they start cutting corners, it's like, no, you're going to make it worse.
Yep.
Do it right. J&S Steel Buildings, LLC. Jake here has enlightened me. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now, to be honest with you. But let's go through the website a little bit, as I want to give a little bit of kudos. Learning how to do his own website. Did a good job. A couple of minor tips. I'm a guy who's been doing this forever. No website's perfect. It's all sometimes a matter of opinion. But if you look at what he's put up on his website here, it's on the wall behind us, and I'm going to put up on the screen for everybody there. But just look at some of the great work he's done there. And a lot more you can look on his Facebook page. But just see, and just he did this website himself. There you go. Because I know the people who charge $5,000 for a website that doesn't look good. I'm not naming them by name. I'm just telling you, these days these are also cookie cutter. But lots of good information in the About page to learn more. And there you are with the family and the kids. Yep. Here's your services. And most important, how do you, there we go, some of that re-roofing, great information, locations where you're based out of. And then, something that's really important is how do you contact our expert here, Jake. Fill out that form, send it in, or just dial the phone number. There it is, everybody. They make it easy. And even beyond that, hey, if you're looking for work, got a little blurb out here, Steel Erection Careers. Hey, fill out the app here. Always looking for good people to work for you. Is that true?
Yeah. One thing about it, it's still a new website, so sometimes the applications don't come through. Just call me.
If something doesn't get through, pick up the phone the old-fashioned way, right?
Or text.
Or text, yes. All right. And if you look there, we do have, I said, is that number textable. At the end of the show, we didn't want to fit call and text right there before the phone number next to the, I do the graphics and titles myself here, everybody. And but on the end it says call/text. I said, can you call and text? Let's put the /text. You don't like to do texting the whole time. Nobody does. But it's a good way to get their attention and say, hey, can you give me a call?
Right.
Yeah. Let's send a text first. Make sure somebody's available as a courtesy. We talk about it, right? All right. Well, with that, we talked about the mistake that a lot of people make, and it's just making sure you're dealing with the right people. Somebody like yourself, you've got the relationships. You've been doing this for a long time. You know the people to work with, and you've got the connections to the resources, the steel guys to make this work.
Right.
Very important. Okay.
Yep.
Then the next thing we talk about, you do 90. What percent would you say is commercial? 98.
About 90%. Yeah.
90. Okay, so 1 out of 10. You do some residential stuff, but literally like people out in the further outlying parts, I guess they can make, I mean, anywhere really. I know somebody, these guys built a steel house, and they call it the Castle. Look this one up. I won't tell you the specifics. It's right next to a bunch of residential houses, but it's a construction metal house like this. It's got everything. Unbelievable house. It's got bears. It's got a Terminator. I'll tell you more about these guys later because I have talked to them about being on the show, and they bring kids in there from hospitals. And I was going to say I got a lot of connections with hospitals based on my background to help with that. But we could have a whole fun day. They've got every type of movie character. They bought them. These guys they did concrete, and that's maybe where they came from. So there you go. Yep. But 90% of the time you're building buildings, construction for storage.
Storage, yeah.
And
warehouses,
warehouses
hangars.
And those things too. And they can even have the frontage for their office in the front of this, right? I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And it looks like a regular office on the inside, but the outside is that building. And who cares how? As long as you got the air conditioning going, you can take payments, get the things ordered that you need done, and run your business.
Yep. Right
Okay.
now, what we're doing right now is a construction company, and they're doing their offices in it. So
Okay.
you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And tell me how that works. Somebody just calls you and says, "Hey, I need this." You just say, "Let's figure it out," and then they'll because versus the other options out there. It seems like these metal buildings have become by far the most value for people who need a corporate or these kinds of buildings. Big facility, a lot of warehouse storage, and put a office space in there. They can finish this off, look like it's the inside of a doctor's office if they want to,
Right. Yeah.
and make it look that way on the inside.
Yeah. Some people purchase their own building packages, and then we just come in and erect it, or they want the whole thing from the ground up. I'm learning to do that as well, and we bring in other subcontractors to do what needs to be done and just put it all together for everybody from dirt work to finish.
Yeah, because your core component, by the way, obviously is making that structure in place, and
Right.
then whatever they want to do after that, you've got the connections for them to do that, or they can bring in their own people to say,
Yep.
I will finish off the inside. But the metal part, the structure, like we talked about in the first show, check out that first show, everybody, if you do. The Soccer Dome, and what was the one? Tesson Fair, Concord Soccer. Those places were these kind of metal buildings.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while, but I guess now it's kind of expanding to where they're used, not just for soccer facilities, big roofs, high ceilings,
Yeah.
but storage. And I guess it's been along for a long time. You're just the guy who's come around here in the last decade or so, been working in the industry, and now started your own company to do this for everybody.
Yep. Houses. They do houses, shops, personal little. You can do tiny little garages if you want. People do that. Yep.
All with steel buildings.
Mhm.
Very cool. Yeah. Find out from your neighborhood association and all the rules about that, and then wherever
Yeah.
you're at, depending on where you're at. Some places it's your own farm, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
It's just depending on the. But these things look great too. A picture behind you. I'm gonna put this up. I got to bring this up to show everybody because the Facebook page is up over here. So this is where this one picture is at. This is a dynamite looking building. When you look at like buildings, here's their Facebook page, J&S Steel Buildings. Look at that building. That I guess you can tell. I don't know. I could be. That's a wooden up and down stripes, but it's not. It's metal.
It's metal.
And then on the bottom half, they finished it with that stone.
Yep. Yep.
That is
The stone.
that is very cool, and allows people then to have a great looking structure that might be could be. It's commercial still, but it looks more like you're just, hey, what's up? And the steel buildings that you don't care if the public sees the outside of it. It's not part of what they're trying to accommodate, like a doctor's office kind of thing.
Yeah.
They don't need that, but that's what they can make it look like if they want to.
Yeah, if you go into that page further down, you'll see the front of the building. We put in one of these big wooden arches in the doorway.
On this page, without
yep.
is there recent pictures?
Oh, somewhere. It'll probably be over in the photos or wherever.
Okay, let's just go over to photos. So check out the Facebook page here. See all photos, and
Saw it earlier.
is it at the
Right
top?
here.
Okay.
It's
Oh, okay.
the same building that's.
Gotcha. All right.
They had somebody build that thing, and we just put it up for them. The doorway, I never did see the doorway because it was cold, so I did not cut all the metal. I didn't want the wind blowing in there. But
you cut that arch and make that.
Yeah.
Finish that for them.
We did the whole arch and everything out of metal. It's all out of metal.
Everything is metal, except obviously they give you that wooden frame to go at the top.
Yeah, except the
cool.
framing is wood.
That's pretty much a decorative thing, right?
Yeah,
Is that supporting? I guess the arch supports maybe a little bit.
It's just a decorative
Yeah,
thing.
because that steel doesn't need the support from that.
No.
Steel's very sturdy, everybody.
Yep.
Something that you don't need that for. Very cool. All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit about how you market and what you do. I'll throw a little blurb out there. Thanks to our sponsors, but also thanks to those who allowed me to write. They asked me to write the intro. The foreword ended up being essentially the first chapter. They said, Craig, you really wrote the first chapter, but it was the intro to Magnetize Media. Now is the #1 seller on Amazon. And my buddies, Steve Kidd, who I got to meet through the authorship of this, and Willie J is my longtime friend. You guys have seen him on the show many times. Best-selling, top of the list, billboards, musician, and all kinds of fun stuff he does. But they do great work, and they asked me to write this intro. But #1, if you want to learn about media and how to use it, they outline the whole thing here. I've read the book. It's got it all. It's like bullet points and like not like a bunch of text. It's got bullet points that shows you how to do that. So thank you. With that, I say, how has technology changed the way you do business? Even if it was from a matter of a construction standpoint. Now they used to have it done this way. Well, now we do it this way.
Right. Yeah. Everything is digital.
Everything's digital.
Like
okay.
all my blueprints, everything. You can still get paper copies, but I prefer it on my tablet so I can zoom in and really get the details so I don't miss anything. But
Is that 4 rivets or 6 rivets, right?
Right.
Yeah, because that's a big difference. That's a 33% increase in rivets. I'm just throwing a number out. Is that a
Yeah.
logical thing? Like,
Yeah, it's true.
how many times you fasten that sucker up there? The engineers decided the weight balance and load bearing and all that. If you put 4 and there's supposed to be 6, you get a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Zoom in on that. You can't do that on the paper as well. Like,
Right.
so technology has really helped with that kind of stuff. What else,
Yeah.
technology-wise, has really helped you guys? Because I can imagine it's just a matter of getting the whole projects coordinated.
Yeah.
Takes a lot more.
Yep.
And communication is better through software and through
Yep.
the web.
There's all kinds of softwares. Different construction companies have different softwares, and where all the photos of the progress, everything's uploaded, you can communicate directly through the software, and everybody is aware of what's going on all the time.
There you go. Take that note, everybody. Everything is aware of everything going on all the time. Because, like, literally, like, this shipment of these pallets has got to be in there the day before this thing gets done.
Yeah.
And if that coordination is not made, the project gets put on hold for a week.
Right.
The people that want that building made are now a week behind making their money to pay back the loan they got for the building and start put food on the table for the kids.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's a reason why you should use the technology these days we talk about.
Yeah.
And how it's impacted people on our little planet. Well, tell me then, we touched on this a little bit before. I showed the website a little bit earlier, but walk me through the method a little bit, if you would. That somebody says, Jake, I want to work with you. They've reached out to you through text, through a form submission on your website. We showed that, or by calling you. They can do the old phone call, everybody. If he's available, he answers the phone when he's available. I texted him earlier to coordinate. He showed up. I texted him. I said, I haven't heard what time he's going to be here. And then he texted me. He said, I'm here early. I'm like, okay, come on in. Texting, right? Well, I was doing another interview, by the way. So great the way to communicate that way. But after they've started the communication, they go through the process. Walk me through a little bit of the process to say, how do you help them make a decision whether or not to use you? And say, here's the materials we offer. Here's the ideas. Here's the platforms. What do people need to communicate to you so that they can work with you?
Well, first off, one of my first questions is, what's your budget?
Right.
Because it's not the cheapest, and if you want to go the cheapest route, I can't help you. That's just the facts.
That's a polite way of saying you don't want to work with the people who want to do the cheapest. And I get it, man, because it's like if they're going to struggle for all of their, we're all just, everybody gets paid fairly doing good quality work. You want those people that'll do that.
It takes you got to know what you want. Once you have everything figured out exactly what you want, because you can't change the building once you have it.
Yeah,
it's not
the parts are ordered.
Yeah, once it's ordered, you can't change it. You have to know what you want.
Everybody.
And then from there, you can just kind of build on top of it. And after a while, you get all the people and the connections and everybody together, the concrete people, the dirt work guy, and everybody. And you can just start and every manufacturer requires a down payment. So if people ask for a down payment, that's where it's going.
Gotcha. And that's just a commitment to say, hey, if you're going to have us building all kinds of materials and bringing lots of things together, we don't want you backing out because you didn't put any skin in the game.
Yep.
And if you do change your mind, they're saying, well, we're keeping that down payment, I guess. And that makes sense, but that doesn't happen very often, I imagine. People are serious. They're going to have that down payment because they want to get it done right. And that's the process. Well, all right, then walk me through the actual process of when the building is getting started. You talked about it in the first show. Check out that first show again, everybody. Building's done as quickly as 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But what is the process? They start erecting and you send them updates, or they want the updates, or how do the people know about the progress of their structure?
Most of them show up daily. They're on site daily. We communicate with. They're not on site. We communicate through photos, texts, emails, whatever. Here's where we're at. Here's what we're planning on doing. This our goal for this week, or whatever it might be. Yeah, and just keep going, bringing in the different contractors to do the different things. Electrical, HVAC, all that, interiors, if you're doing interior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are just the coordination efforts that have to that take place when you're building any kind. I'm kind of blown away. I've been through the process of building the house. Our studio is in a secret location, everybody. The second floor of my house. I'm fortunate as I was younger, running email systems for the largest brewing company in the world. Start off answering phones, work my way up. In my third interview of the day, everybody. Let me allow me to clear my throat. But yet, literally, I came to the house like multiple times, and even caught a couple little things along the way. Like the plan said this and that, especially the old house. Everything they built a little slide open door closet, and I was supposed to build a walk-in closet. And I'm like, that's a big difference. Right in the middle, like, well, the plans show this. I'm like, well, your plans aren't updated, right?
Yeah.
And those are, because it was a change we made, but before they got done, you can't change it afterwards without paying extra. But beforehand, they should have been done. They're like, oh, so they moved this thing over, looked at it again, and put the other closet, whatever. The rooms were all affected by that. But those are things you get to do with the house. Similar way with you guys.
Yep.
This thing's got to get planned, plotted out. They're going to come on location, look at it, and they can see the structure. Are there other amendments that can be made during the process as long as it doesn't change the overall, integral support structure? Or I can add a window over here and move things around. Tell me something about what you got going on during the process.
You can add windows, add doorways, and stuff like that. It just depends where you're putting it, because some manufacturers, they build it for a doorway a specific place. It's engineered for a garage door at one specific location, or windows are easy to add. You can add however many windows you want most of the time.
Right.
And other like little doorways and stuff, Yep. You can't, on the photo on the website, you can't just go add dormer. That gotta be,
Which
has
one?
to be planned, the little on the roof up there.
Okay.
That has to be planned out ahead of time.
Okay. So
For
you're talking about the cap on the roof up there?
Yeah.
This little piece up here?
Yeah.
Okay. At the very top up here,
Yeah.
it's over, same pictures over there, everybody.
Yeah.
But that cap, is it a cap? What do you call it?
Dormer.
A dormer. See,
Yeah.
you have to learn here while I'm here doing this also.
You don't want to just add that in the middle of the process.
Okay, because it looks like something you just slap on there. But what is there? Because it's got a window inside of that, or what's going on?
Some do. That one did not, but it all gets attached to the main roof frame system, and then you put your roof and everything watertight around it.
Okay, so it's part of the support structure that's got
Yep.
to be changed. That's got to be planned out before they send that roofing structure in.
Yeah,
and
it
that
has to be engineered for snow loads, wind loads, and all that.
Snow loads, everybody. How many people have seen the houses that, like, they got all the snow, they think it's beautiful. It's like, you need to get that off there because that snow is water. Ever carried about a bucket of water? Now, some snow is expanded, so it's not quite as heavy.
Yeah.
But when you have 4 foot of snow and it's just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, that's why you need to make sure these things get done.
Yeah.
These roofs are they more sturdy than the traditional roofs on residential? Or comparable? Or, I mean, you're talking about metal. I mean, anytime metal gets used, metal versus wood, I think metal wins 95% of the time, every time.
I would say so, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, they're more sturdy. You can do a considerable bigger span without having interior walls or columns or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay, but then again, back on the inside, the interior, drop ceiling, finished ceiling,
Yeah.
everything else you want, outlets that look the same, everything can be done, because once you got that shell, what you decide to put inside of it is up to you.
Yep, and then you can put all your HVAC systems and everything, like your pipes and all that fun stuff above.
Okay.
Put yourself a drop
In the ceiling, drop ceiling, put that above there, and all those pipes are up there in the rafters, essentially, or whatever it is, those rafters or whatever. Okay. And pipe that stuff in. So you work with some HVAC guys. And I got a few HVAC. One of my guests saw me at a restaurant and then said, hey, sold that company, starting another one with my son. Glad I ran into you. We need to be on your show again. I got to follow up with those guys. That's Craig. He knows his stuff. I won't say the old company's name. I remember them too. But he doesn't know that he sold it. So, but they never on a show. They come back on and say, hey, we're the new owners. We all get along. There's plenty of room for everybody.
Yeah.
If you do good work. And we talked about that attitude you got to have towards success. That was a great little chat we had. Was it before the show or was it during the first show? Be helpful. Be polite. Help people. Your life becomes easier.
Right. You just treat people right. Try not to take advantage of anybody. Well, just don't.
Don't do it. I mean, there are times when things break down and you got to go, wait, I better tell them this right before something happens. And maybe you didn't get the word to them, but like, tell them afterwards, here's what happened and why.
Yeah.
That's why I give a lot of lengthy explanation to some people because I'm like, do you want to know the details? I'll make sure you know. I am not designed to be that way. Most people are not to take advantage, but every once in a while you run into a situation where you have to explain. But the people take advantage of people, stop doing it. It doesn't serve you.
No.
Where's my camera? Which one we got there? There's you. It doesn't serve you to take advantage. They'll figure you out eventually. Don't do that stuff. It's called reputation, right?
Yeah.
You want to keep that good reputation. You made a good point, though. What was that quote you had at the beginning? And this was before. This was pregame prep. What was it you said? Treat people right because it makes, what was it you said?
Treat people right because you eventually end up like that.
You end up like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be of like the people you
Yeah.
associate with, and if you
Yeah.
associate with by doing things shady, those
Yeah.
are good. You're going to have shady friends, and
Yeah.
who wants a shady lifestyle?
Yeah.
Being in the shade is one thing, but being shady is entirely different. You do not want that
Yeah.
for your long-term longevity lifestyle, future benefit, whatever we want to say with big fancy words, to be happy ultimately, right?
Yep.
And feel like you contribute. Listen to Jordan Peterson. He talks about it's not just being happy; it's feeling as though you have contributed. To feel like you've
Yep.
been able to, and that really makes you happy. Being happy and just being the guy that smiles all the time, that's great. But the guy who actually made a contribution to this little planet, that makes you really feel good about what you're doing. You get to do that, don't you?
Helping the next guy along, even no matter how small. Yeah, it does a person good.
That is a great way to live your life. That's why we bring on small business owners like this, because they have all these principles and ideas and values, but they don't get to share it as often because they don't have a $50 million marketing budget. If they still are doing it, they actually do work better because it's actually the owner doing the work, coordinating hands-on, taking the phone call from the guy who's in the building, saying, move the pipe over here, do it that way. Very cool about what you get to do. Well, tell me that as a matter of when people are working with you, what's the biggest question that somebody might have? What's an objection? Like, well, I want to do this, but, and what do you have to answer people? Is it usually price? Or is it, okay, well, tell me how price varies a little bit. I guess it's a lot to versus the competitor, their options.
Competitors. In my industry, it's other builders, people doing it cheap or for less. I shouldn't say cheap, but for less. That's okay.
Know what you're getting.
Yeah, know what you're getting. Make sure you're not I tell them make sure they don't cut corners for you.
Yeah.
Because that happens too, and so.
If it's cheaper, why is it cheaper? You're cutting something out that might be integral to the process and make this thing not last so long. Cheap gets very expensive.
Things fall apart. Cheap does get expensive eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're cutting corners.
And sometimes people don't take the cheapest person or the lowest cost person. They still end up cutting corners. It just make sure you know what you're getting.
Right.
For right now, I'm talking to a guy. He wants a building to live in, it's a house. And
say that again. I've heard that term.
A house, like
so
part of it
and a house kind
shed
of thing?
house. Yeah.
Okay, house. I've heard that. Okay.
Part of it, and he was like, "Well, I got quotes from this guy, and this guy." I said, "Okay, I don't know where I come in, but I got him the numbers, and it's a little higher." From people I work with, and he went with them, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But again, make sure you know what you're getting.
There is something less there for some reason. Maybe the guy's just willing to do the work for less because he needed the work.
That too.
But at the same time, that work is getting cut off at some point. A human can only do so much work in so much time.
Yeah.
They better make sure that they're still getting the quality there, I guess is where you end up with that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to do it right the first time, everybody. Take note on that one. Jake agrees with us on that. That is something. Good job, Jake.
Yeah.
If you're going to be running your own business, always do it right. Well, till then, what gives you the most satisfaction in this thing? At the end of the day, man, you put together some awesome structures. What makes you wake up every day?
Looking at the buildings I've done before. Yeah. Always learning something new. Just looking at different structures, different ideas people have. It's always pretty cool. Coming to something I've never done before. It's like fun figuring it out and putting it together for them and making it look good. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's what we all hope to be able to contribute to everybody. That's why I encourage somebody to start your own business, even if that is to become a franchise of another organization or an affiliate. I mean, whatever. But when you get to command your own time and energy, then you get to do what you want with your time and energy. Versus, I don't mind being told what to do sometimes, but not every minute all the time, right?
Right.
And so I encourage people, always go out there and try to start your own business. At least do something on the side. I would advocate that no matter what it is. Find a good organization and let you do. There's lots of businesses these days. People are working more and more, doing things on the side. Organizations that say, hey, work for us part-time. There's a lot of great organizations I'm thinking about. I'll just throw one out. I'm not an affiliate, Juice Plus. And I know that Juice Plus is one of those where you can become an affiliate.
Yeah.
And I love Juice Plus. I didn't want to become an affiliate with them just because I don't have time for that. It's not my particular interest. But find the one thing you do have interest in and go out there and do that.
Yeah.
And then learn that industry, and then maybe become somewhere you start your own business, like Jake has done here.
Yeah.
That's where I think you got it from. Working for somebody else and said, "Hey, I can do this better," and then took it on and took it over.
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of how that went. Yep. I was doing all the work anyway, doing all the paperwork, staying in contact with customers, employees, all of that stuff. So like, why am I doing this and not getting paid? I was getting paid, but as an employee.
Right.
So it makes no sense.
Yeah, if you're doing all the work anyway, that's tell me how you feel though you contribute most to the community. Is there particular organizations you like, or you favor, any charities that you want to mention? But I would say it sounds like you're giving some employment to some people too. That
Yeah.
giving some good, because and again, not to diminish any employees, obviously, because not everybody wants to be the chief. You can't all chiefs and no Indians. The work doesn't get done. I would encourage people to do that. But if you find a good employer to work for, like yourself, is that fulfilling for you? Because you got guys like their livelihood depends on you bringing in work and then them having work to do.
That does add to the responsibility, and keep in mind, for me anyway, and they all have families, kids, so I make sure I let them know that I understand their family time and all of that fun stuff. Like, you got to go home to the family, go. That's okay. Take off a day to go spend with the family. And to add to an organization, we're foster parents, me and my wife.
Really?
So we foster kids, so that we're into that. We take kids if we can. We can't always take some of them, but
wow,
we do what we can to help out with that, because it's more and more kiddos in the system, which is not what we want.
Holy cow! You never know until you get through it. I saw you had, I think, 3 kids pictured with you. Or
2 bios, yeah, on the website. One of them, the little boy, is adopted. We adopted him.
Wow.
So yeah.
Here's somebody really giving back. As far as they go, say, I will take care of kids that were not even born by your own directly genetically, but also that need love and somebody to guide them a little bit. And why not better somebody that started a company and say, hey, you may not work for me, you may not work for a company, but let me show you how business works, and that's how you pay the bills. And he'll learn a lot from you in life just because Dad is a business owner.
Yeah, I hope so. I do the best I can.
Well, that's really cool. Well, for you, and I don't offer this on TV hardly ever. I don't think I ever actually have. But if you ever need any Cardinal tickets to take those kids to a game, I've got connections with the Royals too. So wherever it's closest to you, let me know. I'll make a phone call, get you some tickets, take those kids to a game. Maybe St. Louis. Sometimes you come back over this way. It's a little easier for me here, but over there, I got connections in Kansas City and St. Louis. I got connections various places around the world because this little Cardinal Cowboy thing has caught on for many places in the world. But thank you again for taking the time to talk to us and sit down with us for 2 half hours, everybody. Not 5 half hours, all right? Not 3 half hours. Not 2 half hours. No, not 1 half hour, but 2 half hours. 2 half hours. You see my fun there for those Kansas City guys. We love those guys. They do have 2 World Series championships. We donated one to them back in the day. But we love my Royals fans, buddies, too. Stay tuned for more, everybody. The Your Little Castle Show. Lots of great leaders in our community. Thank you, Jake.
Yes, sir.
Giddy
Thanks
up.
for having me.